What is going on, guys? Welcome to the video. If you're new here, this channel is all about how to get the most from your lifestyle with fitness in mind, general CrossFit updates and fitness news updates. Today we are going to be discussing the recent CrossFit update about the CrossFit Games this season, and we're diving into that right now. So CrossFit have released a statement on what they are planning to do with this year's CrossFit Games, given the global situation with COVID-19 and the health crisis that's happening. Quite obviously there's going to need to have been some changes made. They have made some changes. They've made a lot of cuts in terms of teams events and masters athletes. My honest thoughts, it's probably the right decision. We've got to think about social distancing and protecting the health of one another. You may think differently. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on that. So the recent update from CrossFit, just reading it on here, on April the 16th, they announced that we are reviewing all options to host CrossFit Games and Aromas while monitoring events globally. That effort is ongoing. So that kind of means to me that things might still change, but as it currently stands, what they have said, or at least what I understand what they have said from this statement, is that they will be taking the top 20 people from the CrossFit Open to the CrossFit Games, depending on whether those people actually want to accept the spot. Also, there were some sanctional events that happened this year, I think 10 in total. Those people that qualified through the sanctionals will also be gaining a spot to the games. That's 30 competitors in total. Having looked at who was in the top 20, we have people in there that may not be taking that spot or might be taking that spot. One name in particular, Froning. He came 19th in the Open last year. Is he going to take his spot? Who knows? But if he doesn't, would that leave it to maybe somebody that came 21st, like Rogelio Gamboa? Also, unfortunately, Zack George isn't going to be able to make it this year, just given the circumstances and the announcement that CrossFit has made, which is, it's a real shame, because I know Zack has worked really hard. We were following him all season. We were really, rooting for him. Zack's done extremely well over the past 3 to 4 years to gain a spot to the games, and it would be really disappointing to see him not go after all of that effort was put in to gain a spot to the games. But he actually placed 26th in the world. So if travel restrictions will allow, or the government are saying that it's all but essential, I think you would consider this to be essential. Will he be able to get over if 6 other people are not going to take their spot to the games? It's still a lot of room for maneuver, I think, within this. So he might actually end up going. We don't know. We just don't know how it's going to play out, or if there's going to be any more announcements to come, depending on what happens with the global health crisis. So we'll see what happens with that. I would really love to see Zack George, because obviously he's representing the UK. He seems like a really down-to-earth, decent guy, and I just want him to get to the games and show us what he's got and give us some really good entertainment. They have said in here as a caveat that the changes above have been made in consideration with the current challenges or health challenges globally. Quite rightly, things are kind of moving parts. Everyone's waiting for things to kind of change, whether that be with their work, the fitness gyms opening up in general. But they have said here that the CrossFit Games will reset for 2021 with the intent of going back to the existing format that they had in the 2019 games. They've also mentioned here in a comment straight below, we will continue to monitor events globally and provide updates as needed. Restrictions on large gatherings are subject to change. The field of athletes invited may be adjusted based on those guidelines. So that's kind of saying that they'll just decide what they need to do based on what the announcements are going to be made. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of decisions being being made with each government on a global scale, which is obviously having an impact on all sorts of large-scale sports events, like the Olympics have been cancelled, and it's naturally going to have an impact on where everyone's going to have to travel to America. Are we going to be allowed to travel from the UK? Who knows? We still need those decisions and updates coming from our government, and I'm sure that every other government in the world need to make similar decisions, which will have an impact on whether athletes can actually get over there, or even if they would want to go there. Social distance is a massive part of what we need to do to try and keep ourselves, safe and well. Do you really want to be sitting on a plane next to somebody who's potentially got, something that they can give to you and go to the games when you're ill and not really give it your best performance because you've got health issues? I'm not quite sure that I would want to take that risk personally, or even if I was taking that risk, then I would have the potential to pass that on to somebody else who I'm competing next to. So there's those considerations to make. Will this be the first year that we see Matt Fraser and Rich Froning battling it out again to see who is the greatest of all time? That would be one big spectacle. My eyes would be glued to the telly for that one. We will get a lot of people saying that it'll probably be just like an All-American CrossFit Games, but if you actually look at the top 20, 15 of the athletes who got in the top 20 are from Canada and America. So the majority of them are actually on that continent anyway, or on that land space anyway. There's only 5 others that are actually from other countries, and it just really depends on those travel restrictions at that point in time and whether these people can actually participate. So people saying that it's an all-American kind of CrossFit Games, well, it would be anyway, because the majority of the people in the top 20 are from America. 2 or 3 are actually from Canada. When you look at down in the comments below, Jacob Hepner was the first one in there to comment, saying he was looking forward to seeing Khan Porter. Heaps from the Buttery Bows thinks that this could be interesting. One thing is for sure, it's certainly going to be an interesting competition this year if it does take place, whether it scales up given the restrictions or whether they have to scale it down or cancel it altogether. That is all still subject to change, but it will be a very interesting one. I don't think we can consider this one to be a normal event. I don't feel that we'll be able to be in a position to officially crown anyone the fittest, because I don't feel it's a true test of who is the fittest this particular year. I do hope that we do see some of the athletes that have qualified this year back next year, maybe with a wild card, something like that. For example, Zack George, if for whatever reason he's not able to get through this year, I would hope that they would hand out some form of wild card to these people that came very close to getting it, because for them, I'm sure it's all about the experience and taking part in such a massive spectacle, particularly when they've worked so hard to get to the games and get their ticket to the games. But yeah, I think this is going to be certainly an interesting one for this year. Guys, thanks very much for watching. Those were my opinions and my thoughts, and I'm happy to hear yours too. So if you do, let me know what your thoughts and opinions are in the comments below. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Remember to smash that like button, and if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with the recent news and content, and I'll see you in the next video.